Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Train Station. As always, I am your host, A-Train, and I'm finally finishing up the NFC with the NFC West. Yes, I'm wearing headphones. My mic has decided that it wants to be stupid when I'm not streaming. But as long as you guys can still hear me and I can still get content out, that's all that should matter. If you guys are new here, please go check out the rest of my NFC videos. I have the predictions of the East, South, and North all up live on the channel right now. I also do this new segment called the Red Devil Roundtable with my friend Caleb. Please check that out as well as the other videos on the channel. If you guys like what you see, please like and subscribe. It would help the channel grow so much and it would be greatly appreciated. Let's get into the NFC West. Arguably, for years, probably the last 3, 4, maybe even 5 years, this has been regarded as one of the best divisions in all of football. I don't think that's going to necessarily be the case this year. It most definitely wasn't last year, and I don't think it will be again this year. Lots of teams have lots of question marks in this division, and we're going to just go ahead and talk about it. To start with the team that I think has a chance to dethrone the Eagles, and the team that I think can make the biggest noise in the NFC, the San Francisco 49ers. Great talented roster all around. Not a lot of holes to fill. They draft really well. They were pretty much quarterback injuries away from beating the Eagles last year. They lost their quarterback, and they didn't really know what to do after that. So if Brock Purdy and or Trey Lance could stay healthy, these guys could be a legitimate threat in the NFC. Trey Lance is hopefully a guy that is a guy that the 49ers are hoping does really well for them, considering they spent 3 first-round picks on him when they could have had a guy like Justin Fields. So they're really hoping that he takes that next step. However, I think Brock Purdy and the way he played last year, I think he'll get the start the season. But I think at some point we will see Trey Lance because the 49ers want to see at least if they're getting something in return for their investment from all those years ago. I don't know how many wins exactly they're going to get, but if they can stay completely healthy, I can see them matching the Eagles with about 14 wins. But realistically, I can see about 10 to 12 wins. So I'm going to go right in the middle and say 11 wins for the Niners, which gives them the division and a really good shot at dethroning the Eagles in the NFC. Moving over to a team who had probably one of my favorite drafts of the entire offseason, the Seattle Seahawks, gave Geno Smith a giant front-loaded contract, nearly $50 million this year, after he had an incredible bounce-back season last year. That's going to be the biggest question mark for them is can Geno Smith continue to play at that level that he played at a year ago? I'm not sure that he can. I think that was kind of a one-year wonder kind of thing. If you looked at the start of his career when he was in New York and then just bouncing around the league, he really hasn't been that good. But Pete Carroll brings the best out of people, just like Kyle Shanahan brings the best out of people as the 49ers. So we'll just have to see if Geno Smith can replicate what he did last year, and that's going to depend on a lot of what Seattle does successfully this year. Is going to ride on the shoulders of Geno Smith. Now, when I say they had one of the best drafts in the offseason, I mean it. If you guys watched my draft video, if you haven't, it's a few videos down, go check it out. I wanted the Lions to get Devin Witherspoon, the cornerback out of Illinois, but Seattle took him one pick before at number 5. That pick was thanks to the Broncos. Probably the best man-to-man corner in the draft, and arguably a chance for him to start right away. I know it's kind of hard for corners to adjust at the NFL level, especially immediately. But I think if they have him in the slot, especially guys, since they still have Kobe Bryant and Tariq Woolen, I think they stick him in the slot so he doesn't have to be outside and face some of the best receivers in the league. They stick him in the slot to begin with. I think that'll so he can learn the NFL game. That'll strive and that'll be great for his development. Seattle also hopefully gets back a Jamal Adams who hasn't really been healthy in his time in Seattle, so hopefully he stays healthy there. If he can stay healthy and Witherspoon is half as good of player as I expect him to be, Seattle could be looking at close to a Legion of Boom type secondary that they have this season. Offensively, they drafted, and I don't know how he fell all the way to, I think it was 21 or 22. They got Jackson Smith and Jigba, the wide receiver out of Ohio State, who I have been hyping up for like 2.5 years now. Last year, first round picks Chris Olave and I forget the other one's name. They both went first round to do it on the Jets. This guy, Chris Olave, or not Chris Olave, but Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's better than both Wilson and Olave. And he is my perennial, actually, not even perennial. I'm going to come out and say it right now. Jackson Smith and Jigba is my rookie of the year. He will absolutely strive in that Seattle offense, especially one that has DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. You can just insert him right away. Boom, he'll take off running. He'll be great. And yeah, I'm going to mark it down right now. Jackson Smith and Jigba, rookie of the year. And then next year, they have even a better wide receiver coming out who's better than Njigba, who's better than Wilson, and who's better than Olave, and Marvin Harrison Jr. So whatever Ohio State is feeding their wide receivers is definitely working to get them to the next level. But Seattle surprisingly drafted very well in the first round. That's not usually their strong suit. They're usually one of those teams that builds better later in the draft. But they finally had a home run first round draft, which to me is absolutely insane. So if Geno Smith plays up to the potential that he can play up to, Seattle will be back in the playoffs. I think Geno Smith takes a step back, but considering how maybe the Rams and Cardinals will do, I think the Seattle Seahawks will squeak into the playoffs. It'll probably be a short playoff run, but they'll be good enough to sneak in, and then that's when the problems will arise, because I think with Geno Smith taking a step back this season, I think they'll have to look for their quarterback of the future, and next year's quarterback class is much better, and maybe next year, in next year's draft, they trade up to find a guy that they really like, a guy like Drake May or J.J. McCarthy or somebody like that. They'll have to find their next quarterback of the future, because I think with Geno Smith taking a step back, I personally think he will, and with him taking a step back, they're going to need somebody else to step into that future role, especially with the young roster that they have offensively, and get that new guy accumulated very quickly. So, I say 9 to 10 wins for Seattle. Good enough to get them into the playoffs. One of the hardest teams to predict this year and what they're going to do is the Los Angeles Rams. Just a few seasons ago, they were Super Bowl champions. Now the roster looks like a complete disaster. It got even worse in the offseason with the trade of Jalen Ramsey to the Miami Dolphins. So you lost arguably the best corner in the league, and you don't really have a lot of depth. You drafted decently. The main goal going into this season is to protect and keep Matthew Stafford healthy, and getting a guy like Steve Avila in the draft will definitely do that. But as a Lions fan and a follower of Matthew Stafford, he's going to miss some time this year. It's just bound to happen. He has been injured every single year, pretty much, it feels like. And that's due to poor offensive lines and just not really protecting him. And so the Rams' offensive line is just not that good. Hasn't been the same since 40-year-old Andrew Whitworth retired. And they have a lot to do. They don't really have a lot of cap space. They're kind of tied in between Kupp, Stafford, and Aaron Donald. And Kupp is coming off some injuries as well. He had that knee injury a few years ago, and then last year he also was dinged up a little bit and had some injuries. And the defense, like I said, it's not great, and they lost Jalen Ramsey. You have Aaron Donald, but your linebacking core is kind of weak. You did bring back John Johnson from the Browns, who originally was with the Rams, and that was a good signing, but I don't think it's enough. The thing with the Rams is if they can stay fully healthy, if Matthew Stafford can play 13, 14, 15 games, they have a relatively outside shot of making the playoffs. But unfortunately, I think Matthew Stafford's going to miss some time. But they do have Stetson Bennett, who is also a former Georgia quarterback like Matthew Stafford, two-time national champion, so that he knows what it takes to win. So if Stafford does go down, they do have a serviceable backup who will have to see if he can do it at the NFL level. But a two-time national champion with Georgia seems like he has the intellect and the tools to be able to win if called upon. It's really going to depend on the health for the Rams. It's going to be the biggest thing this year, is the health of Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald. If any of them miss a significant amount of time, this team is in trouble because, like I said, they don't have a whole lot of depth. I think it's going to be a long, rocky season for them. If completely healthy, this is a 10-win football team. But I don't think they're going to be completely healthy. And because of that, I have them kind of middle of the road. 7 wins max for the Rams with the injuries and everything included. But that could change again if they stay healthy, but I don't see it happening. So 7 wins for the Rams. So that's 11 wins for the Niners, 10 wins for the Seahawks, and 7 wins for the Rams. Now we're going to talk about the team that I feel is going to be the absolute worst team in the, maybe not even in the NFC, but in the entire NFL. I haven't done my AFC predictions yet, so I don't know who's going to be worse. But as it's looking right now, I have the Arizona Cardinals being the worst team in the NFL. Kyler Murray is coming off an ACL injury. We don't really know how he's going to recover from that. Also, it seems like with a new coach and a new GM, they kind of want to go in a different direction. J.J. Watt retired. They traded away DeAndre Hopkins. This team lacks talent in almost every single position. And then, Kyler Murray going to be missing the beginning of the year. We're still recovering from that ACL. So the Cardinals are going to be in a lot of trouble. Like I said, they don't have a lot of talent. And at this point, I think they're just tanking for USC quarterback Caleb Williams. Lincoln Riley, another Lincoln Riley product. He seems to be doing well. Kyler Murray was a Lincoln Riley product. Baker Mayfield, Lincoln Riley product. So on and so forth. He's got a whole bunch of them. But the Arizona Cardinals I don't think are going to be a very good football team, even with Kyler Murray coming back. They do have some bright sides. They have Budda Baker on the defense. Offensively, they have Rondale Moore, who is quick and can change the game in an instant. But really, outside of those two, their offensive line isn't that great. They don't really have a running back that's a game changer. Obviously, their backup quarterback is not Kyler Murray, so they're going to struggle. And then you traded away your best receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. So you lack a lot of talent and depth at key positions, which I think for Arizona is going to be their downfall, but I think they want to be bad so that they can get rid of Kyler Murray, who did sign a contract, I believe it was last offseason, signed a massive extension, but like I said, with a new coach and a new GM, I think they kind of want to go their way with their guy. And Kyler Murray, I think this is his final year in an Arizona uniform. He will be shipped off next season to probably the highest bidder, whether that's the Raiders, the Broncos, maybe Seattle, since Seattle will be in need of a quarterback, and I think Kyler Murray would absolutely strive in the Seattle system. Maybe a team like New Orleans or Tampa Bay. But my guess is they'll probably want to ship him out from the NFC, ship him to the AFC. But there's not really a whole lot of needy AFC quarterback teams at the moment. And we'll get to that later. But I don't expect more than 3 wins from the Arizona Cardinals, which would place them at the bottom of the NFC and currently at the bottom of the NFL, just slightly under the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I have winning 4 games. I see Arizona winning 3. So let's run it over one more time. 11 to 12 wins for the Niners, but I think they get 11. Seattle gets 10. The Rams get 7, and Arizona gets 3. I think San Francisco and Seattle sneak into the playoffs. The Rams have an outside chance if everybody stays healthy, and I just think Arizona is going to struggle and struggle bad this season. That's my NFC West predictions. In the comment section below, please tell me what you guys think. Who was your favorite draft selection, whether your team or not? Like I said, I was a very big fan of what Seattle did in the first round. But yeah, comment your predictions below, or let me know what you think about my predictions, how mine are different than yours, or what you like about them. Whatever, I like seeing the interaction on my videos as well. I always try to reply to them. If I see the comments, I will reply. It might take me a minute, but I will reply. And that's it. I will see you guys. I'm not sure what I'm doing next, if it's going to be another roundtable or if I'm heading straight into the AFC. But again, if you're not following my Twitch, the link is over here. Please follow my Twitch, twitch.tv/theatrain95. I plan on doing some week streams this year. Some weekday streams, not week streams, but weekday streams this year. I stream Mario Kart, I stream Apex, Call of Duty, Warzone. Oh, and then I mix it up sometimes with some other things, but those are mainly the big three. So if you enjoy any of that content, again, please follow my Twitch. I will be live sometime this week, and I will see you guys in the next video.